Thank you for joining us for another power-packed message provided by Munroe Global Incorporated and MunroeGlobal.com. We transform followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. We hope that this message is a blessing to you as you advance your life and discover your purpose. Now, let's go into the message.
Please write our focus today. Our session today is focusing on the role of fatherhood in family and community building. The role of fatherhood in family and community building. Our focus specifically will be on understanding the importance of fathers. Understanding the importance of fathers. In our last session, we talked about some of the negative impact that fatherlessness have had on our society. We gave you some statistics that were very sad, that were scientifically accumulated to show that the number one problem in the world today with regards to social ills is fatherlessness. That's the result of research done by behavioral scientists. Well, I want to focus today on part 2 on why fathers are so important. Let me begin with a statement to pick up where we left off. We began with God's command to build a nation to Moses. Remember that the statement you were reading was not given to a religion. It was given to the deliverer who was building a new nation. So this statement is a political statement for policy. The 10 Commandments were not given to Moses to build a religion. The 10 Commandments were given to Moses to build a country. God told Moses, I have brought you out of Egypt to make you a nation, and you will be unto me a royal priesthood and a holy nation. And then God gave Moses these laws. One of the laws we're focusing on is the one we don't think about as national policy. He said one of the most important things the country should do to build a strong country is honor your father and your mother. Honor your father and your mother. This is a national policy. Now, why would God command us first to honor our father and then honor our mothers as a national issue? Because God ties the role of fatherhood and motherhood to social survival, to community development. He said, and if you do this, he says, you will live long in the land, respecting and honoring your father. Paul the apostle, over 4,000 years later, repeated these statements in his book to a country, to a little province called Ephesus. Remember, Paul was building the church as well. And Paul said to the folks in Ephesians 6 verse 2, he says, remember what the word of the Lord says, honor your father and your mother, which is the first commandment with promise. In other words, all the other commands God gave, he never gave a promise with it. But the first one he gave that he has a promise with it is father and mother. Now notice, he says that if you honor your father and mother, you will what? You will live long. Does that mean then that whenever there is death in a community, crime, murder, homicide, drug abuse, self-imposed death, that's because there is dishonor for the father and the mother? Could it be then that our communities are destructive or self-destructive because we've disobeyed the first law that guarantees long life, which is dishonoring your father and your mother? Could it be then that God is actually connecting crime to dishonoring fathers and mothers, or fathers and mothers not being worthy of honor? Could it be that the solution to our criminal issues is restoring honor to father and mother? Somehow I believe there's a connection. Life is cut short because the father and mother are not in position to be honored. Ask the criminals who are locked up today in prison about their relationship with their fathers. 92% of the prisoners that were questioned about their fathers had a negative response. Some of them are so angry at their fathers that that's how they tried to get back at him, by getting involved in anti-social behavior. Could it be then that fathers can actually save the country? Jesus came to save the world, and he ended his work on earth with these words: "Now I go back to your God, my God, and to your Father and my Father." Did he come really to restore us back to Father? Adam fell apart when he declared independence from his father. He no longer wanted to be connected to heaven. He disobeyed his father, and the whole family fell apart. The destruction of a society is connected to the absence of fathers. If you read the Old Testament, the last verse of the Old Testament before Christ is introduced in the New Testament ends like this: "And I will come and return the hearts of the fathers back to the children, and the children back to their fathers, lest the land become cursed." Honor your father. Here's a verse you never saw before. God says, do not curse your father. Why? Because honoring your father protects you. He who honors his father shall have long life. Cursing your father is self-destructive. Let me prove that, especially to our young people here today who may be feeling their age. It took me a long time to feel my age, because every time I felt my age, I felt my mother's hand. She hit my face, and then I felt my father's belt. He hit my hip. I had north and south to consider. Matthew 15 verse 3 says, "For God says, honor your father and your mother, and anyone who curses his father or mother must be put to death." These are words of Jesus. He was quoting what he told Moses. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think God wants to kill children, but I think the point he's making is, it is better for you to be dead than to dishonor your father and your mother. Could honoring a father be so important that God says it's worthy of capital punishment if you don't? Honoring your father protects you from death. Here's another statement, Proverbs 20 verse 20. Write it down. It says, if a man curses his father or his mother, his lamp will be snuffed out in pitch darkness. Let me just say it another way. I don't think that God's talking here about physical killing, even though that may have been the intent. He's also talking about you will lose what you was intended to have in life if you disobey your parents. You will negate all the hope God had for you. You will destroy your future if you disconnect honoring your father and mother. Maybe that's why out of the 11 children God has given my parents, all of us came out well. Everybody came out well. No one never got in problem and go to prison and got in problem with the law, had to go to court. Imagine 2 parents with 11 children. And the only thing they made us do was honor them. And when we didn't, they made sure we were encouraged to do so. And could it be that that's why we're still alive today? Big family, loving each other still. When we get together, we were together a few days ago with my father on Father's Day, all of us in the house together, all the kids together, and we were talking about family again. Do you remember? Do you remember? We kept remembering how mom and dad used to correct us and punish us. And we were thanking daddy at 85 years old for what he did. He kept us out of jail just by obedience to him. My mother used to say, if I smell beer on you, just beer, click. She said, if I smell it on you, I brought you into this world and I will take you out, she says. There'll be late abortion. She said, if I smell cigarettes anywhere in this house, find somewhere to live, she says. Now these sound harsh, but today my lungs are pure. Glory, hallelujah. My liver has no toxic alcohol. Why? We obeyed them. The death of Michael Jackson. Yes, I'm going to go there. A man who at 50 years old still wanted to be a child again. Because his father didn't allow him to be a child. One of the saddest things I heard on the media shows this week was a commentator by one of his best friends. They said he was an old man in a child's body. That's it. That explains everything. Mr. Gordy, the founder of Motown, said when he first met this group, he says, this little boy at 6 years old was singing like an old man. And then they asked Michael, how was it growing up in Motown? His answer shocked me. He said, my friends were Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson and Aretha Franklin and Diana Ross. Wait a minute, you're 5 and they 35. He never even had friends his age. He never had a playground. He said on his way to the studio, he would look through the fence and see the kids playing, and he would begin to cry because he had to go to work at age 5. And he watched them play and he cried. No wonder why he built a playground in his backyard for $19 million just to play with children. The effects of a father. God bless his soul. Learn the lessons. The priority of fathers, write this down. The most important component in human family development is fatherhood. God made it clear, even to the point of saying, if you don't honor your father, you can be put to death. You will die. So go the fathers, so go the nation. So go the fathers, so go the family. So go the fathers, so go the community. And as I mentioned, Time Magazine's favorite quote, dad is destiny. The secular world has concluded that the conditions of a male determines the destiny of a country. We spend a lot of money on the women in every country. But not much is spent on men except to build jails for them. We build programs for women, but prisons for men. We develop women and we give men punishment. And so our nation is lopsided. The foundations are out of course. And what I think is the most amazing thing is that Father is the designation God gave himself. He calls himself Father. He never calls himself Mother. And that doesn't demean the role of motherhood. But it does emphasize the importance of the spirit of fatherhood. And I want to talk about that today. What is father? For the quick review of those who are not here, the word father is from a Hebrew word, Abba, and it actually means source, nourisher, sustainer, protector. It means progenitor. This word Abba also means founder or foundation. It means the author of something, the one who made it. The word Abba means it is the source, the root of something. Everybody say Abba. So father is not a name. Father is a title of a function. When you are the source of something, you are called the Abba. When you sustain what you source, you are called the Abba. When you protect what came out of you, you are called the Abba. When you cover it, when you become the progenitor of it, then you are called the Father. This is why the woman is never called Father, because women came out of man. When God made the human race, today we got 6.7 billion people on earth, and God only made one. He never went back to the soil. And the only one he made was a male. And God went inside the male and pulled out a female, which means the female didn't come from the soil. She came out of the male. That's why the male is naturally the father of the female. Now what does the word father mean? Write it down. Say it loud. Source, nourisher, sustainer, protector, progenitor, founder, and author and maker. That's what a man's supposed to be to a woman. Can you imagine that? Ladies, I'm giving you a little secret here. If a man wants to marry you, keep this list in your pocket. When he winks at you, tell him, can you do that? Say the list again. Can you source me, nourish me, sustain me, provide for me, protect me, progenerate me, be the foundation for my life, and can you author me? Can you make me better? That's a tough assignment. Our modern society have almost gotten to the point where the woman is becoming the man. She got to become the nourisher and the sustainer and the protector and the founder and the progenitor. And she was not built for that. This is why young people like Farrah Fawcett would have so much stress in her body after 2 or 3 marriages, trying to deal with the pressure of life. Your body's not built to carry that stress, ladies. Your physical makeup is so battered by the pressure of trying to be a foundation that there are growths in your breasts and growths in your loins and fibroids going crazy, and the people can't figure out what's wrong with you. Is because you're not built for this. Doctors have said it, and I heard a doctor say last night regarding Mr. Michael Jackson, he said it was stress. One man asked him, where did his pain come from? In his bones and his back and his muscle. The gentleman says it was stress. Can stress make you sick? Stress is worry, carrying things you're not supposed to carry. That includes unforgiveness. God made the male to be the carrier. And when the carrier is gone, you got a house without foundation. That's why God says, honor the father. Put him in his place. Make sure he stays where he belongs. Why? He's on the bottom of the human race. Most men believe they are the head of the home, and that's wrong. You are not the head of the home. You are the foundation of the home. Roots are at the bottom of the tree. The foundation carries the whole house. And so when the foundation is defective, you condemn the whole house. I was telling the men at TD Jakes' conference this week, I said, listen, don't be hurried to take women out of their parents' homes. You don't know what you're doing. This ain't about sex and about breasts. This is about carrying a whole life for the rest of your life. Can you carry this life? This ain't about finding a domestic servant to cook you food and a housemaid to clean your shirts and iron. You're supposed to carry the whole thing as the male. Leave her in that house if you are not ready to carry her for the rest of your life. This is tough. You're the foundation. Make a note here. The Father is the foundation. The Father is the root. Abba. The Father is the source. The Father, the word means genetic pool, progenitor. That means the Father provides the kind of genetics that the offspring will have, which means that the offspring is no better off than the source. So you produce after your kind, and if you don't like what you see, it's because of you, if you are the progenitor. Very important. I want to talk in this session about, therefore, the model father. What's the model true father? I want you to write this down, because we're going to take a look at the greatest father that ever lived and what his son says about him. His son reveals what a father should think about a father, about a son, and a son about a father. What I'm going to show you now is what a son said about his father, so that you can see what a father's supposed to be to a son. Everybody still with me? Let me try it again. What I'm going to show you now is the perfect father, the ultimate father. And I'm going to show you what his son says about him, so you can know what a father's supposed to be to a son. Because the son is also the perfect son. Also, I want to show you that this son tells us about his father, but he also tells us that all the fathers should be like his father. Let's read it. Matthew 5, verse 47, 48. Jesus said, "Be perfect, therefore, just like your Father is perfect." In other words, my Father is the model. Follow him. Do what he does. Say what he says. Live like he lives. And then you'll be a perfect father. Let's read the first thing he says about his father. This is deep stuff for me. Matthew 11, 27. Jesus speaking. He says, "All things have been committed to me by my Father. No one knows the Son except the Father. And no one knows the Father except the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him." Now this is loaded. Look at the first line. He says, "All things have been given to me by my Father." Let me ask you, you got how many sons? Four sons. This young man got 4 sons. And what this is telling us here is that you should accumulate something to give to your sons. I can stop right there and go home. If you are a father, you have to prove it by having something to pass on to your children. All that the Father has committed to me. Let me put it another way. Let's reverse it. Can you trust your kids with everything you built up? Have you trained them so well that you know they won't destroy it? Can you pass on the 30-year business you built to your children and trust them not to destroy it? That's what he said. The Father has committed everything to me. The Father trusts me so well. He knows he trained me so well. He could leave the inheritance to me. Of course, I know what's going on in your mind, right? A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Can you be such a good father that what you're building, you're not just building a business, you're also building the children to keep it? How many people build a big business and lose their kids? And then when they die, their kids sell it off. You know, there was a hotel downtown in the Bahamas on Bay Street called the Corona Hotel. I don't know much about it, but it's one of the best restaurants I've ever ate at for years. A nice hotel. And then all of a sudden, someone just, I don't know, someone went crazy. And the hotel just stood there for years empty. And I think it's still empty after 20 years. I'm thinking, where are the children? Are you building a business, a ministry, a career that when you die it's gone and the kids got nothing? A good father can give everything he has to his children. Some men win their career and lose their family. When I was a kid, I made a decision that I'm going to have something to give my kids. When I think of some of the men in our country who have done very well, you know, most of them are from the other side of the track. Solomon and Sons, Pritchett and Sons, Milo Butler and Sons. So have you got you yet and sons? Will your sons have something to inherit? Now I know we got single mothers here and you're wondering, Pastor Myles, what about me? I can get to you later. But you see, we got to deal with the men. The men got to get their head on right. You have to have something to give over to your children. That's the perfect father. And then he says, no one knows the son except the father. How well do you know your son or your daughter? How well do you know your children, father? Now, notice, it says no one knows the son like the father. This is important. You can't know your kids if you don't spend time with them. The average father doesn't have conversations with his daughter. And it's even worse with the sons. The average father never talks to his son except, pull up your pants, boy. Touch your hair. That's not conversation. You can't know me by keep commanding me. Do you know your daughter? Do you know what she's thinking, what she's feeling? Do you know about her menstruation, whether she have cramps or what? Do you know her? Do you know your child? That's what Jesus said, a good father. He knows his sons. You know, I spend time with my daughter and son. My son and I work together now very much closer. But we always very close. And even more and more, it's getting better and better. My daughter and I spent a whole week together and talked to her about deep things, your dreams. What are you feeling? How are you feeling? What's going on in your life? I want to know, what about your friends? What about your desires? Do you talk to your children on that level? No one knows me like my daddy, he says. Be like my father. And then he says, and no one knows my father except me. Boy, it's a tough one, eh? How well do your kids know you? Do you give them a chance to really know you? Your fears, your dreams, your doubts, your testimony? Do your kids know how you got saved and what you think about God? And do they know about your prayer life or how you study the Word? Do your kids know you too? A good father reveals himself to his children. Oh, you're so quiet. See, he said, if you would be perfect, be like my daddy. There are young people in this room, and I know I see them on the stage today, and some of them know nothing about their daddy. Never talks to them. And when he calls, it's this surface communication. How you doing? How's school? That's good. You got money? Okay. You got lunch? Good. Okay, see you later. That's not conversation, that's maintenance. They don't need maintenance, they need meditation. They need deep conversation. They need someone to give their heart to. Do your kids know you? The last part is heavy. He says, I can reveal my Father to people. I wonder what your kids tell other people about you. That's the question. I wonder what they say. He said, kids reveal their fathers to other people. I don't ever see my daddy. Yeah, he comes in, but he comes in, he leaves in the morning, comes in the night while I'm sleeping. I never saw him. For 20 years of my life, my daddy been working. I never saw him. Right after lunch, on Sundays, he goes straight to the ball game. Doesn't take me. He's revealing you to people. What does your daughter say to people about you as a father? My daddy, child, he got his own life. I don't know where he is. Someone tell me they saw him with a woman. I don't know. In other words, what do they say about you? Jesus said a good father is able to allow his kids to talk to others about them. You know what's amazing? Even some of the wives don't know their fathers. I'm talking about their husbands. Husbands talk maintenance talk to their wives. Paid the bills, light bill paid, mortgage paid, good. And then he's gone. It's even worse if the wife doesn't know the husband. There's no hope for the child. My job as pastor is not to teach you the ordeal. My job is to teach you the ideal. Whatever condition you experience now, I am not supposed to reduce God's standard to your conditions. Please forgive me if you're feeling funny this morning. I have to teach the ideal. We got to get men to come up to God's standard, not bring God's standard down to man's problems. And if you are a man here today, I hope that this message will cause you to act quickly and say, honey, you're 14 years old, but let's go for lunch. Why? God spoke to me today. I need to talk to you. I need you to talk to me. Your son is 28 years old, they still don't know you. Call him and say, son, forgive me. I have not been a perfect father, but I'm going to make up because you got another 80 years to live. Let me at least try and get 5 more in and do it right so you can do good with your son. Make up. The daughters in here are starving for their fathers. You know, here's something I thought was interesting. And when I read this, I was concerned about the impact of it. Jesus got these things from his father. Write them down. Every woman, write them down. Every male, write them twice. I did research in the New Testament on the life of Jesus and his father. And here's what I got from these verses. I researched it for almost 7 years to find out what made God a successful father and what made Jesus Christ a successful son. And here's what I found. Number 1, he got his identity from his father. Number 2, he got his work from his father. He said, I and my father are one. Remember that? In other words, who do you identify with? A friend or your daddy? Some young men in this room have been brought up by a buddy. They identify more with their friends than they do with their own father. And they become like their buddies instead of like their father. Can you say, I am like my father? I and my father are one? Matter of fact, let me ask another question. Does your son want to be like you? Does Does your daughter feel good to say, that's my daddy? Or are they ashamed of you? Do they identify you as their father? Or they just call you that old man? My old man. The second one, his work. Christ says, I came to do the work that my Father does. He says, for my Father is working, and so I work. I work the work of my Father. Where does your children get their work ethic from? And also, can you also inspire them to work? Do they see you as a worker? Can you provide work for them to do? I mentioned to you last time that one of the greatest mysteries I believe we're missing is having our children work in the family business. While you're working on a job, I want you to do something. I want you to work on a business while you're working so you can build a business for your sons. Because whenever your kids are working for someone else, they are making that other person wealthy. Yes, go back to work. Don't get me wrong. Don't quit job tomorrow. But go back to work. But when the Bible says work in the morning, plant your seeds. But in the evening, let not your hands be idle, because you know not which one will prosper you. That means you go to the job in the morning, but make sure you do something in the evening that your kids could inherit. You know, Dr. Barry, thinking about you, your daughter this morning. Isn't that beautiful? His daughter want to be just like her daddy. She said, I want to be an orthodontist. He's an orthodontist. He has his own business. And now his kids are not wondering about the future. Can I get employed? Will there be a job? He has provided work. She's going to do the work that her father works. She's going to work her father's work. But we're not being taught to think this way. Eh? We've been taught, get a job, settle down, pay a mortgage till you die. The reason why I'm teaching this is not to bring you guilt, but to change the future for your life and your children. My job is to make you just like God. Build something that your kids could inherit. He got his work from his father. The third thing he got from his father was his purpose. He says, I came to complete the work my father sent me to do. Do you give your children purpose in life? Son, I'm sending you off to school because I got a plan. I want you to go and complete this degree because, you know, we got to do this thing the next 40 years and you're going to take it over. That's giving your sons purpose. I came to do the work my father sent me to do. God the Father provided the work for the Son, and that became his purpose. Fourthly, he got his heritage from his father. He says, I came from the Father. The Father sent me. And I'm going back to my father. He had a sense of heritage. Does your children feel that they can be proud of the family name? There are people who don't want you to know who their father is. They're ashamed of the name. I've known some people who actually use their maiden names. Or they changed their names because the father messed up. Ladies and gentlemen, again, and I feel this today, my job is to teach you the truth, not to appease what you are experiencing. If we're going to heal our country, we need to bring men back to the standard of God. Are you giving your children a heritage as a father? Number 5, he got his power from his father. This is important. I remember when I first got my first loan from the bank. I came out of college, 1980, had no money, started working for the government, got my first paycheck, walked into the bank, you know, sis, and I said, I got to buy a piece of property, you know, because I'm thinking about my own family now. I got to build my own heritage. And here I am, 1980, young guy, walking to the bank. And the girl at the bank says, I read your application, but you don't qualify. She said, how long you been working? I said, can't you see? That's a dumb question I just got from college. By the way, you bankers need to check those folks who interview people. Dumbest questions I ever seen. And then she said, well, we can't give you a loan because you have no history with that bank. I said, lady, I just got home from college. What do you expect? Dumbest questions I ever heard. Anybody heard them questions? Let me see your hands. Anyone have questions? Let me see. Am I the only one? You ever had them questions asked? Come on, let me see. Don't be ashamed. Yeah, I see some hands there. Strangest questions. So anyhow, I got so frustrated with the young lady. I said, you know, let me talk to your manager. And she said, you don't need to talk to him. I'm the loan officer. Excuse me. Can I please see the manager? She said, but I don't know why you need to see him. He's going to say the same thing. And she picked up the phone and she called him. And he said, come in. I went in. Walked in his office. He stood up. And he smiled. He said, you Matthias' son. Watch this. My father's name is Matthias. Anyone who knows him well calls him Tias. He said, you Tias boy. I said, yes, sir. He said, have a seat. He said, what's your problem? I said, I need a loan to buy a piece of property. He said, so what's the problem? I said, the loan officer is assuming that I cannot afford this, nor can I handle this. He said, but he works for the government. He said, I know your daddy for the last 40 years, man. What's your problem? You get the loan, okay? I know your daddy. The power of a father's name. Do you give your kids power? Can they use your reputation to make it through life? Or do people say, your daddy? You want him to sign for you? No way. Do you embarrass your children because of your life? He got his power. I like what Jesus said. He says, I came because my father sent me. And he said, and if you believe my father, you'll believe me, he says. He tied his success to his father's reputation. If you knew my father, he says, you would know me. Is that what you're giving your son and daughter? My daughter said to me the other day, she said, Daddy, when I get married, I still going to use my name, Munroe. I said, but no, you can't do that. She said, I don't care. She said, Munroe strong. Say, everywhere I go, all over America, when they say Munroe, they say, are you? She said, yes, I'm Myles Munroe daughter. They say, come right in. She said, I don't want to lose that. So my answer was, make sure the guy you marry got a name as strong as mine. He got his power from his father. And number 6, he got his authority. He said, I came to you in my father's name. My father sent me. And if you knew who my father was, you would listen to my words, he says. Are you giving your children authority? Number 7, he got his legitimacy from his father. His father made him legal. He says, I am here because my father sent me. And because my father sent me, I know who I am. Number 8, he got his destiny from his father. He said, I came from my father and I'm going back to my father. His future was in his father. Do you give your children a destiny where they can go into the family's name and say, this name is living forever? I'm going to keep this name proud and alive. You know, my father today didn't have property to give us, didn't have land to give us, didn't have a house to give us. We didn't get tangible things from our father. But the most important thing our father gave us was his name. I walk around the country and people say, I know your daddy. And guess what? The Bible says a good son becomes a blessing to his father. My father been telling me lately some strange thing. My father says, you know, son, everywhere I go, they say, so you is Myles Munroe daddy? It's reversed now. They say, oh yeah, I know your son. Can you live in such a way that your kids can use your name to make it through life? It's a heavy load. He got his family from his father. He said, my father loves me, and I love the Father, and I do the things that please him. He said, if you don't believe me, my Father believes me. You know what? When you go into the world as a son, most of the folks don't believe you. But are you okay if your daddy believes? Your family got to back you up. The Father gives you the support when the whole world abandons you. My heart hurts for the single mothers because they don't have this long list. And they got to battle. They got to be father and mother to a daughter. That's why God would bring you into the church like this and say, look, let Pastor Myles adopt your child. Why? If she needs someone to tell her how to live, what to do, who to marry, bring the guy to me. Let me check him out. Why? Because she needs a father to protect her. And I'm telling you now, I have adopted all the young women in this room who have no father. You are now my kids. And if anybody beats you, let me see where they are. Show me where they live. I will kill them and tell God they died. We need protection. And it comes from our Father. And finally, number 10, he got his message from his Father. You know, this is important. Do your children repeat what you say? Jesus said, I only say the words my Father tells me to say. Where do you get your language from, sir? Some young men are cursing because they heard their father cursing. Some men talk about sex because they hear their father talking about sex. Some men talk about women because they hear their father talking about women. In other words, some men just do what their father do because that's the message they got from their father. Some men have sweethearts because their father had sweethearts. What is the message you're giving your son or your daughter? A good father provides the message for his children. Your kids repeat what you say. And to you single mothers, be careful of the men that come into your children's life. Because they're looking for a father image. And if a man comes to shack it with you, you in trouble twice. Because now that kid is confused. You ain't never been to the altar, so they ain't going to no altar. That's the message they got. You can sleep without going to the altar. What are you telling your kids just by your life? Jesus said, I only do what I see my Father do. My goodness, did you hear that? I only do what I see my Father does. He had a mother named Mary. He never said he does what he sees his mother does. That means you single women, the man in your life is who your kids are watching. I was talking to a young man recently. He said, you know, every time I woke up, my mother had another man in the house, a different one. He said, I hate women. He says, why I'm homosexual. He wasn't born that way. He was made that way by what he saw. He saw men abusing his mother. He became angry at his mother, who allowed it. I wonder what's the message you are giving to your children. Everything you do, they watch you. I'm going to say it again. They're not watching the woman. They're watching the man in the woman's life. Or maybe the men. So they're watching. They're getting the cues from the male. When you commit adultery, you're not messing up your own family only. You're destroying the kids of the other person you are having adultery with. It's a social problem. Faithfulness is a national security issue. Okay, let me close this because the time's gone. Let me give you a couple of verses. Let me pick up here. Can we do this next week? All right. Write down these verses, please. Matthew 12, verse 50. I want you to read it aloud because I want you to see that your father and your friends are related. It says these words, for whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my friend and my brother and my sister and my mother. This is very interesting. He says, He chooses his company based on who likes his father. Wow, this is heavy stuff. The father is supposed to provide the standard for the children's friends. Some of your kids will not bring their friends to the house because the behavior and the activity of their friends would not be sanctioned by you. So they go out to their friends all the time. Something's wrong. If the father doesn't know who the kids' friends are, he's already in danger. He said, whoever does the will of my father can be my friends. I call them my brother, my sister. Any young person in my family who comes to deal with my kids, if they don't believe what I believe, they don't associate with my kids, period. That's it. If they're not willing to live the kind of life I lived, I don't want them being my kids. And we tell our kids this all the time. If you cannot bring them in this house, you shouldn't go anywhere with them. We don't steal, we don't curse, we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't dope, we don't do that stuff, we don't commit adultery. Now, what do your friends do? The father establishes the standard of relationship for the children, and that's fathering. Look at this next verse, Matthew 26. He said, do you think I cannot call on my father? And by the way, he was threatened, remember? He was threatened by Pilate. Pilate says, I could kill you. Jesus went straight to his daddy, didn't he? Do your kids feel so secure that you'll back them up? That you can tell people, you wait till my daddy comes. Wow, what a feeling. He says, Pilate, don't you think I can call my father and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? In other words, don't fool with me, my daddy backs me up. Can your children depend on you to back up their claims? Children can go to a place, make a decision. Yes, I'll buy that. And the person says, how do you, my daddy will pay for that. And then they go back to daddy. Daddy, I told them that you can pay for that. That's what Christ is talking about. Your kid's supposed to be able to make a decision, a wise decision, knowing that the decision is based on their quality of understanding of their daddy, that their daddy would pay for it. Can your children depend on you to cover them? You mean you signed the paper for college? You accepted the acceptance letter? Why you did that? Use my daddy? Yeah, but no, use my daddy. I know you can cover this. You can find some way to pay this tuition. Can your kids do that? So much confidence in you that they know you'll find a way. Sometimes the kids can't find you. We need to get back to honoring fathers. But here's my message today. I want the fathers first to honor fatherhood. And that's the message today. I want the fathers to honor fathers again. Before the woman could even honor, before the kids could honor, let's get the men to first get back to honoring fatherhood. What is fatherhood? And this is just the beginning.
Thank you once again for listening to this message, as we hope that it has been a blessing to you. Our goal is to show you new paths and opportunities so that you can discover your purpose. It is your love, support, and partnership that makes Munroe Global possible. Please visit us online at www.munroeglobal.com for more product, partnership, or to join us at one of our live events around the world.